Hey folks, good morning. Even though my son has a driver's license, can drive himself to before school Bible study and then on to school after that, sometimes you still need to make sure he gets up. So I've got some extra time this morning. Not a lot though, because I've got to go in early to help continue pushing on this contract proposal. But anyway, weapons and equipment. This section is travel, and I found this very helpful in a number of situations that I previously was looking for information on but didn't have. Okay, sections, guides and others, right? Guides are specialists with high customs and homeland lore skills. And in some areas, survival track and appropriate languages are also useful. Food and drink are expected to be provided to the guide, but they may assist with hunting and foraging if that's part of the situation, right? Okay, group travel. Travel can be dangerous. This is something in an old D&D campaign I was playing in college, where we'd go dungeoneering until we were high enough level to actually survive out in the wilderness. And there was this bridge. It seemed that every time we crossed it, we ran into a random encounter. And so we put a sign up: danger, bridge of monster summoning. But remember, there's always safety in numbers, right? Because obviously a large party of travelers are less likely to get attacked by bandits, etc., than a handful of folks. Okay, caravans. Mules are the most common pack animal, and I had looked at this earlier. If there are mules, then there are horses. We know there are horses, but that also means there's donkeys, which we have not heard much about, if I recall ever seeing anything like that. Caravans are typically organized by Isri cults and are led by a priest or initiate of the Golden Tongue subcult. I should underline that. I missed underlining that earlier, because we don't have a write-up on that yet. Hopefully it's in Cults of Glorantha. God, it's not Gods of Glorantha because the term is already used. But the upcoming cults book. Okay. And they travel on good roads, 40 kilometers a day. Otherwise, trade roads, right? 25 to 30 kilometers a day. And that should be, I should double check, should match up with the travel stuff in the blue book, right? Along many important trade routes, caravansaries? Too many vowels, I'm not sure how it sounds. But these are it says or ends. These are essentially in compounds, right? They're designed, they're going to be on these important trade routes every 40 kilometers, right? You travel, got places to stop and stay. They'll provide food and water and food for your animals and shelter for you and your animals and all that kind of stuff. Some fancy ones even have shops and shrines and elaborate baths. Good to go. They do mention that in the Pairing Stones scenario, in the Smoking Ruin and Other Stories adventure book, contains a sample caravan that's suitable for travel across the Plains of Prax. Remember, the Plains of Prax, it's like a desert, right? Long space of nothing. River travel, and this is what I mentioned earlier about, I was trying to get information for, because I've got some river travel stuff in the scenario that I use for my game, and that we've had interaction with already. Rivers typically flow between 2 and 10 kilometers per hour. For fast-moving rivers like the Creek Stream River, which comes out of the upland marsh, not the Creek River and the Stream River, which go into the upland marsh. Coming out is fast. It's a fast river, so traffic is generally just one way downriver. There's a river called the Ostler in Peloria, so it's a slow river. So boats ply their way up both directions, up and down river, which reminds me of the C&O Canal north of here in Maryland. We've done some hiking and stuff along that pathway where they actually built a canal to go along the river because the canal, they use locks, right, to get you going upstream. But you got the path there, so you've got your mule pulling it along, right? Or pull. I tried pulling a boat upstream was what I had done in my scenario. Probably should have done this this other thing with the animals. Okay, ocean travel. We haven't done any of this yet, but I've got a piece of an old scenario that's still in the back of my head progressing that this would apply for. So most vessels charge by distance the minimum fee for the effort of require just aboard and onboard people, right? And there's a chart, boats and ships prices. You got the vessel, the accommodation, and the price. So everything from a small river boat, which is just a short journey, a couple of clacks. You've got larger boats, you've got river vessel. You go upriver by oars or magic. That's 4 times the cost. Upriver via sail, double cost. So that would apply to either the small river boat or the large river boat. Some river boats would just have deck space, others actually have sleeping, under deck sleeping or a cabin. That's obviously more expensive. That's the 1 lunar per day kind of thing. Ocean going ship, a lunar a day. Animal transport, double human cost plus for food. Oh, there's a note here. Generally, only animals of size 40 or smaller may be transported in a ship's below deck pen. On deck pens may hold those up to size 50. But obviously some large is rare. And this reminded me of medieval horses and traveling across 1066 and the invasion of England. They had horses they brought along with them, and how big were their boats? That's just a side thought. Okay, sea voyage. You can go 300 kilometers over a 24-hour period. Good conditions, right? So, but you should figure an average of 240 kilometers per day. And I like this kind of average stuff because I'm not that worried about stuff. But you're going to get more detail. Obviously, you're going to roll for weather and all that kinds of things. And they just break it down to favorable and unfavorable conditions. But for every week of travel, you make that ship handling roll. So every week, 240 kilometers a day. I just drew a blank how many days there are in a week. Elemental runes, so 7. 7 days in a week. I should calculate this out, but we're talking about a long distance that takes a ship handling rolls. We're talking about moving across the country kind of stuff. Okay. Roll critical success. 1D 3 days early. Special is 1 day early. Normal success on schedule. Failure D3 late. Fumble at D6 late. Alternatively, some kind of a mishap. On a fumble, I would say mishap. Okay. Average sailing speeds: open hour, coastal river, open sea, coast river, daylight hours. And they got the different, favorable conditions, how far you can go, unfavorable conditions, how far you can go. Another chart: sample watercraft journey distances and times. And this was interesting to me because I was specifically dealing with Two Sisters, right? So from Duluth to Two Sisters takes 2 days, and I forgot what Duluth is, but it's north. And then in the bay, Mersey Bay, you've got from Kars to Nochet. And this is kind of the major sea transport ports between Azrolia and the Holy Country, which then goes to Star Chart, right? I've got some stuff dealing with Kars. And obviously you got lots of traffic from Nochet to Kars. And it takes a day and a half to cross the Mersey Bay there, which means you're going overnight. And that is important for my campaign because bad things happen at night. Near Nochet, the Mersey Bay. Okay. Now there's from Nochet to Corfu, which is down by Prax. That's 6 days travel. There's a thing from Duck Point to Nochet. Duck Point, you've got to come down the Creekstream River. and then across the Mirror Sea Bay. So, but can't really go back up the creek stream. So I'm not sure how they work that out. They'll probably hit cars and travel by caravan. And they mentioned the Oslo River that went up in Peoria. It was tamed by the Lunar Empire. So it flows at a predictable pace, 5 kilometers per hour. Okay, vehicles. And we deal with this in my campaign because one of my characters is a charioteer and received a boon from Queen Laika of a chariot. So he's got a 2-wheeled chariot. But and my son actually mentioned something weird about this. I don't know how it came up, but he was talking about the Moroccanth, although he didn't know their actual name, right? But there is a Moroccanth carry basket. This is a basket that you put on the back of what they call them, herd men, right? The animal humans for carrying stuff. Children hunt Moroccanth because they're big and heavy. But maybe a child, but stuff, right? Got 4-wheeled cars, 2-wheeled cars, a palanquin, a 4-wheeled wagon, moving lots of stuff. Then we get into chariots. There's a nice little chart here on chariots. Heavy chariots, light chariots, a command chariot, and a 2-wheeled chariot. Chariots, right? So you've got passengers on your chariot, and there are things they can do, right? Because you're talking about you're fighting generally, right? You can use it. You can attack. You can use spells. You can meditate, or even use ritual practices without penalty as a passenger on a chariot. If there's one or more beasts pulling a chariot and they get severely injured or slain, and we had that happen in one of my campaigns, in my adventure scenarios, gameplay sessions, one of my sessions. The driver immediately makes a drive roll to retain control. We completely forgot about that. I just had the horse go down and they stop. On a failure, the chariot capsizes and the driver, passengers, and any beasts suffer 1d6 damage to a random hit location as they are ejected or fall to the ground kind of thing, right? The chariot itself is likely to be damaged beyond the quick repair capabilities. And for every missing beast, you have -3 movement. Your driving skill gets halved. It's harder to drive. Okay, the command chariot. War leaders use this as a mobile command platform, generally drawn by 4 beasts. Heavy chariot, double axle chariot, also drawn by 4 beasts. The light chariot is the 2-horse single axle vehicle, quick and maneuverable. But then you have the 2-wheeled chariot, single-wheeled axle, pulled by 2 beasts, usually horses. So what's the difference? The 2-wheeled chariot also has cover on the front and sides, heavy leather or wood panels, right? And that stops a lot of damage. It might be 12, which kept our shaman alive because she was behind that, and the baboons spearing up at her weren't able to hit very much past her abdomen. Okay, but it carries 3 people, right? A driver, a noble or priest, right, the commander, right? And then some kind of bodyguard. Those 3. Modifications you can do to your chariot. You can increase your armor plating. You can lighten the frame. You can reinforce the frame. You can make it more maneuverable. You can add quick release traces. So with a driver roll, you can release the animals in case one gets hurt or whatever, right? And you can get bladed wheels. I've seen a couple. I'm not sure what's really historically accurate, but okay. But you can bronze rim your wheels, which adds to the trampling damage when you roll over somebody. I like that. It's cool. But each of these have a mechanical game application: increasing hit points, decreasing movement, giving you a bonus on your drive rolls, more hit points of movement, adding drive skill. The application. This is what it is. This is the effect. Okay, watercraft. I got a table back here. We'll go over the headings. There's the beam, the capacity, the crew, the draft, the freeboard, the hull. And they have a note here on freeboard, right? For every meter of freeboard difference, if you're jumping up, you've got a -20 on your jumping skill. And then, of course, if it's more than 2 meters, you can't jump that. You've got to climb, right? And even at 2 meters, I have to make a jump and a climb. Jump, climb. Okay. Hull quality, length, name, seaworthiness. These are all things they cover. And structure points. Okay, so we've got. Should I go? Let's go to the table. Okay, so you've got flat bottom boats, you've got rafts, and you've got ships, right? And they have all got different kinds of things. You've got barges, a Newtleen reed boat, a 10-person reed boat, a dugout, like a canoe, large rafts, small rafts. And then for ships, you've got the net, the tub, and trireme, and we'll talk about those on the backside here in a minute. But you got a hull quality, you got seaworthiness, structure points, all the things we talked about, except we did not talk about crew. It's got capacity, but we don't have crew written here on this thing. So, okay. So I'm assuming that in the upcoming GM book, they're going to discuss ship combat, where structure points and hull quality and probably seaworthiness for taking damage are all combined somehow. Okay, hull construction. Caulking with oakum or cotton covered with wax and resin, or hot earth blood, which at the time I completely forgot about, so I had a question mark by it. But back in the beginning, when we talk about fuel, they do mention that earth blood. They talk about earth blood, which is essentially oil, because there was fire bones was coal. Coal had its own name, kind of thing. So, okay, tradecraft. Large skiffs have sails, and with proper winds, can make the trip from Pavis over here downriver to Corfu in a third time that a normal raft takes. Sails, they increase speed. Okay, boats, rafts and flat bottom boats, rafts, spearfishing rafts. Inflated bladders attached beneath the rim of this raft provide greater stability to allow for spearfishing from the surface. Cool. That's a lunar tarsh kind of thing, though. Okay, barges are towed by animals along an adjacent tow path. Obviously, that's going upriver. I think you need to going downriver. But the crew is 2 polars and 1 animal drover. Drover is what I was looking for. Okay, a coracle. Constructed of fish or saurian hide stretched over flexible reed or wood frames. Dugout. Typical dugout canoe, right? This is common in rural parts of Dragon Pass. It can be navigated up even the narrowest of creeks. If a dugout overturns, such as a fumbled boat roll, you need to make a second boat roll to put it upright. If you fail that roll, putting it upright, you must make swim rolls. Okay. Flatboat. On many rivers, flatboats are a one-way that is downstream vessel. They take it downstream and then they take it apart and sell the lumber. And you got the Newtleen. This is Newtleen reed boat, right? 4 to 6 meters long. Usually requires 2 Newtleens to handle. Newtleens have a special way of rigging a small sail when needed by using 1 Newtleen as the mast and rigging while the other steers. Then they can trade off so they can move under sail for several hours before becoming exhausted. Newtleens are great. The 10-person reed boat is usually fitted with a simple sail, and it's actually capable of short coastal villages. Sorry, I'm actually supposed to get up now because I've got to get to work. But we are almost done. Last part, ships. The net. Yeah, net, tub, and trireme. Net threw me off. Didn't we call it something else? The nets are fishing boats. Tubs are merchant ships, and the trireme obviously are warships with oars and sails and all kinds of things, right? They give you some sizes here. A net is 5 to 10 meters long. A tub is 10 to 20 meters long. And a trireme is 30 to 40 meters long and about 5 meters wide. They don't say how wide a tub is, which would be handy to know as you're trying to map this thing out for ship type activities, right? That's what I need because I got to learn how to ship involved. and even a possibility for the players to actually get to the ship, right? It would have been a tub in this case, but a tub has a crew of 25 sailors. Does it really take 25 people to run a ship that's 10 to 20 meters long with a single square sail? I mean, that's like a maximum capacity. There should be a minimum here somewhere because you obviously need a couple guys, well, probably a couple guys to steer, plus a handful more working the sail, but they're not going to be working the sail all the time. And I mean, you look at modern sailboats, you've got, 3 or 4, right? Yeah, I just don't know. In the trireme, you've got 170 rowers, a good number to know because you can pull in Viking longships and this kind of thing too on rowers for length and that kind of stuff. Plus 30 officers and sailors, 15 spear users, and 4 archers. So you've got 30 officers and sailors to run a trireme, which is 30 to 40 meters long, right? And a crew of 25 sailors for a tub, which is half that size. So I think there's kind of a maximum kind of number here on this 25 sailors. I'm not sure. But that ends the section. Happy gaming.